So this screencast is meant to help you complete the data reflection sheet and access and analyze your results on USA Test Prep. As you can see, it's some basic information: subject area, grade level, teacher name, my name here, and then we have our first table, standards taught. Please provide the standard and a brief description of Chart 1. Prior to reviewing the data, my students can do this. So in this space here where it says Assessment 1, you're going to list some standards that you feel your students going into the assessment were going to do very well in. And you can find those standards on USA Test Prep. Here is where you would enter the things that you anticipate before they've taken the test or before you've looked at the data. What do you think you're going to see that they will have difficulty with? And then finally, what do you know or what do you assume going in that they're really going to struggle with? And you've had them for a while now, and so you probably have a very good idea about what those would be. So this table, this row is completed ideally before they test. I mentioned that in the department meeting, but definitely before you look at the results. So that's just you. You don't have to look anywhere other than to get the standard language there, or you can just use your own language. That's fine with me for this first time. Then you scroll down and you come to Chart 2 after reviewing the data. So this is now where you're really getting into, here were my assumptions. Now what does the data say about what my students know and can do, which is going to go in this box. This row right here is just Assessment 1. And then my students need help with this, and my students struggle with this. So how do you know what to put there? Well, bear with me. I'm going to get into USA Test Prep here, and I'm picking on Zach. He's going to be observed tomorrow, so why not go ahead and pick on him a little bit more. But I'm in USA Test Prep, and if you need help with this piece, I can help you out with that individually. Or some of your English 2 colleagues can help you get there because they've already done that. But I'm in just Zach Gall's classes for the ACT English Benchmark 1. His average is that 54% of his students were at the equivalent to proficient or advanced on this test, what we would use that language. The district average is 48, so his students are outperforming the district average. Right here, he can see by strand what is scoring well, what needs help. He can also click here and view by expectation and really dig down a little bit deeper. And this is one place where he could copy and paste from these areas into the data reflection sheet. Sorry. So what did they end up doing well? Well, if we click back to here, just for an example, if I go back to the broader strand language, their best score was and you can see that it is organized this way. Organization, unity, and cohesion, they have a 62%. So if I'm Zach, I might put that there. Quite frankly, and this is no reflection on Zach, of course, these are all in areas that we would consider probably borderline struggling, that middle column, or in that last column, which is they're really struggling with that. And I sent you those cut points in an email. They are color-coded. So you use those cut points, green for proficient and advanced, yellow for struggling, and we would consider this in that struggling area probably, and definitely this one. You might consider this struggling, the middle column, because it's borderline, but here when we get into 52 and 41 and 51, those are definitely going to be in that my students can't do this, and this is going to be an area of focus. So if Zach were to click on this, I don't think he wants to, copy this whole entire thing, but he could just copy this, and that's enough to put, I wouldn't clutter up the box on the form with all of that language. And so it was a 62, so we could technically put it here. And he could change the font if he wanted to, because that's a little awkward. Or he might put it here, because even though it's in that proficient and advanced category, it's only 62%. And we might want a little strengthening of that percentage, so he could put it here. I come back to USA Test Prep, and close this window, and a place where they're struggling, I might put this there, and I could just copy it from here. Another place that you can view it, if you come here to individual students, here you can see the expectations, each one of them listed, lowest scoring to highest scoring, and that gets into a little more detail. And so that may be a place that's more helpful for you, because those are individual areas within each broader strand for this particular benchmark where you can really break it down. So in this case, you might want to say, this is something that they ended up, being able to do. And this is verb tense. Yeah, we might hope that they could do that. So I might come over here and go ahead and paste that, because that's just a specific expectation that they did really well on under another larger strand, not this one particularly. But and so you will do that copy and pasting as you look at those two areas of feedback. Now you saw there's lots of other ways. It's very rich in terms of how you can look at individual student feedback, your class as a whole, how you compare to the district. But for the purposes of this document, you're trying to drill down to, how does this inform my instruction? What do I need to spend time with on students going forward? Now when you scroll down, there's a question here. List the areas of strengths based on your assessment data. You're only going to enter text here under assessment 1. And so in these questions, you're basically narrating what you just provided in the table, synthesizing, if you will, the data that you just put in that chart, and just putting it into your own words here. Summarize what the strengths are. If you know the answer to this question, what do you feel contributed to the strength of the standards that are listed in chart 2, or what you answered in question 1? So if you know that there's been an emphasis placed on certain writing traits through Readers Workshop, or through vocabulary, or whatever the district initiatives and PD and collaboration time, the things that you focused on here in the last year or two would likely go right here in this box. We kind of struggle with that as English 2, but you might have some more ideas there. Question 2, based on your data, in which standard does the student performance need to improve? So again, you're just narrating what you're synthesizing, not narrating, it's late. You're synthesizing and summarizing what you put in the table in your own words. And letter A here is based on the standards you listed in 1 and 2. What are the discrepancies between how you felt they were going to perform versus how they actually performed? And that's why it's so important to fill out that first chart before you look at results or before they test, because here's where you're going to see, were you right? Where are the gaps? How do you need to adjust those assumptions? Now we scroll on down, and chart 3 here is where ideally, and this worked well for English 2, we come together as a course content team. So everyone who teaches English 3, everyone who teaches English 1, everyone who teaches AP together, I would say. So Sharon's not alone. and then calm in the workplace, I need to schedule time with you together, ideally, so that we can work smarter, not harder, and look at 2 standards. Of all that we charted individually, we share that information. Where is the trend line, and what are 2 that we feel are most important that we can improve students' success on? Here, we're going to identify what are we going to do instructionally to improve that. And again, English 2, if you talk to your counterparts, there's some really nice things that we're working on in this area. And then when will we address it? In English 2, we tend to say before the next benchmark. And that's it. So you may need some more help on how to get into USA Test Prep. If you do, please come see me. Don't hesitate. But you need to do Chart 1, Chart 2, and these questions just for Assessment 1 before we come together as a team. Once we come together as a team, we'll complete Chart 3, and you will email me your completed data reflection sheet and save it somewhere for your use. Hope this was helpful. Thank you.